All right. What up, everybody? YouTube Live. Okay, let's get this image up on the screen. Hide this. Oh, let's do that again. I keep messing up this whenever I try to put image up on the screen here. Oh, shit. And there you go. I think this should do it. Okay. How's it going, everybody? Right now is Saturday night, February 29th. It's about 10:37 p.m. Pacific time. Been working all day, so I'm a little exhausted. But I did get to catch the new episode 10 of The Walking Dead season 10. Uh, if you hadn't noticed, AMC Premiere subscription apparently releases their the episodes early, TWD episodes early, which I tweeted about this. It helps me. It helps me a lot because at least for this weekend, tomorrow evening, Sunday night, I already have an appointment. So I was like, oh man, I was a little worried, like, oh, I'm gonna miss out on TWD. I don't want to miss out. So this was like, a breath of, or a gift, I should say. It's like a nice present. um, this is the only image from episode 10. At least the one I took from IMDb. I didn't get to take it from AMC page. But it's a shot of Beta, Alpha's right hand man. His hands like coming out of the grave from inside Alexandria. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that. All right. So I have a few notes here. Oh, before I continue, this episode will air tomorrow night. All right, on AMC at 9 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific. So heads up, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. I will be discussing spoilers in this video review. This review is mainly for those of you who've seen the episode. If you haven't, you might want to wait till the episode airs tomorrow, and then you can come back and watch this review to see my assessment of the episode. Okay. All right. So just a few quick notes before I dive in really deep. At one point, Beta, Alpha's right hand man, walks into the trailer, and there are these two guys. I was like, what are they doing there? And apparently they're guarding an access to an underground tunnel that leads to um, this image, the graveside from inside Alexandria. It's like, wow. And that makes me wonder, number one, like, I'm sure those two guys are not paid enough to sit around in an RV all day. But I think in a zombie apocalypse world, it might be considered to be a pretty cushy job. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to be, like one of the footmen or the soldiers. Because if you're out there, the chances of dying is bigger. As opposed to if you're inside an RV just lazing around, just covering or guarding a hole in the ground. So it's a nice job, but I'm sure it can get boring too as well. And number two, wow, the tunnel. I was like, see, I haven't read the Walking Dead comic books. If you have, I only read like probably first few pages of the first few volumes. But if you have gotten this far to the Whisperers part, let me know. I mean, were the tunnels part of the comic books? And I mean, I guess I said tunnels like plural. How many tunnels are there? Is this the only one? Like, I mean, this kind of like takes me back to history class, about the VC, the Viet Cong soldiers in Vietnam War, because they got like all kinds of tunnels. I think the Japanese also do such a did such a thing in World War II. Um, but definitely Viet Congs, man. The VC, they were guerrilla soldiers. You know what I'm saying? So it's amazing how many tunnels they created during that period. So I'm wondering, like, okay, so if there's an access like this one that made it possible for, or that makes it possible for Beta to infiltrate the compound, um, Alexandria. So you kind of have to wonder, like, how many are there more? How many are they? Like, um, should that be a priority and then the next must to do list, the to find out, or to you know I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I missed a season or a storyline where they actually had that. That they dug it up or whatever. Let me know if I overlooked it. Let me know. But it's fascinating in it. Let's see what else do I have here on my note. Oh, we gotta talk about Gabriel and Rosita. Um, we'll save the best for last, which is Daryl versus Alpha. Oh, I have a lot to say about that. But Gabriel and Rosita, so the episode kind of, a big chunk of it focuses on them. Rosita still has sort of nightmare, a fear that the Whisperer would be like killing her baby, and Gabriel's like driven by this anger, like we're gonna pull out their teeth and cut off their fingers. And what's at least for me surprising is that obviously because we had to wait like weeks, right, in between episode 8 and episode 9, but apparently according to this episode, um it has only been 2 days. It has only been 2 days since Sahid died, the father of Rosita's baby. So it's still fresh in their memories, which makes it understandable why Gabe is still furious about it. But at one point, they hold Thora Burgess' character Gamma, aka Mary, captive. They put her in the cell. Well, that whole sequence when they meet Mary at the gate and then Rosita punches Mary in the face, which is awesome because wow, that is a hell of a punch. And then inside the jail cell, Gabe and Rosita interrogate Mary to really get her to tell the truth. That whole sequence is so. Gabriel and Rosita at this point, they have become, at least when it comes to interrogating prisoners, they have become like an like an like a well-oiled machine. Like they finish each other's sentences. Um, and also in this case, in this episode, they're like bad cop. There's no good cop, bad cop in that scenario. So the way they strike fear into the heart of Mary, aka Gamma, played by Thora Birch, is like, we're gonna kill you. This is you will be the third Whisperer who died in our compound. And the one that just died previously, his bloodstains are his bloodstain is still there in this prison cell. So that's how they play it. There's no good cop at all. It's just bad cop, bad cop. But they're in sync. You know what I'm saying? They're in tune. Which is awesome. Which is awesome. Another thing that I noticed in this episode, before I get to talking about Thora Birch's character Mary, um, the camera, the cinematography. Oh my god, the camera work is amazing. It's amazing. It's like they really put an effort this time. Not that The Walking Dead had never put an effort to make itself look cinematic, but in this episode particularly, like uh, how the camera spins around um, Gamma, aka Mary, as she takes off her mask. That's an example. The other example is when Daryl is, he's stealthily trying to get close to where Alpha is, and as Alpha is coming out of the cave with the walkers, you see the camera kind of pans away, and then it tries to pan again at the location where Daryl was, but Daryl's already missing. It's so the movement is so fluid, and I love it. And there's a shot like flying like an overhead shot towards where the walkers are, and it's just like, oh, so good, so good. Where was this cinematography tricks like in previous seasons or previous episodes of The Walking Dead? It's just to have these, it just elevates it, man. It just elevates it. I love it. um Now, when it comes to Thora Birch's character, Gamma, aka Mary, a big chunk of today's episode also focuses on her. And at one point, of course, she confesses that she killed her sister. Here's my thoughts about. And by the way, Thora Birch is a fantastic actress. Um, you may have recognized her from what was that Disney movie? Hocus Pocus. There you go, the Disney movie Hocus Pocus. And also, you probably recognize her from American Beauty, one of my favorite movies of all time. So I interviewed Thora Birch once, so go watch my video interview with Thora Birch right here on Rama Screen channel. Just on the search engine, just type in Rama Screen and Thora Birch, you'll find it. She's a fantastic actress, so I'm glad to see her in this role. And she Gamma, aka Mary, there is she's not, as far as whisperers go, she's not in the category of TFG, aka too far gone, those people that are like, oh, Alpha all the way, I'll live and die by Alpha, whatever Alpha says, no, she's like, I guess the word I'm looking for is salvageable. Like she's redeemable. She can actually go to the light side instead of the dark side. She has the potential. She inherently, even though she killed her sister, and she seems remorseful about that. So she's not TFG. And now that obviously uh, Alpha and Beta know that Mary has gone over to the other side, basically become the traitor to them. So I think now we're gonna see more of Mary hanging out with Alexandrians or Rosita people instead of with the Whisperers, and that's cool. Um, the moment when in the scene where Beta is like, step toward me, and then Mary's like, no, I'm not afraid of you. That's when Mary pretty much she draws the line in the sand. Like she's like, I've made up my mind now. Alpha lies. I'm not gonna take any more of her BS. I'm not afraid of you. This is the new me. This is me. This is Mary. Not Mary under the thumb of Alpha. So this is Mary taking a stand, basically, and it's fantastic. The whole sequence, I wrote down this like of Beta coming out of that grave, killing that whole household, and you know, and his confrontation with Mary, and then he enters the house, and then of course his fight with Rosita. That whole thing, that whole sequence is amazing. Um, it was intense. It was chilling. Beta walked and moved like freaking Michael Myers, which is awesome. I thought I was watching a segment of a Halloween movie. It was just so great, especially when he was like walking up the stairs, and it was very silent. You didn't even hear composer Bear McCreary's music in that moment. And then of course, little ass kicker Judith shoots him, like, oh, so good, so good. I've been begging for this kind of moment, man, because The Walking Dead, like I said to you many times, because the show has gone on too long, it runs the risk of recycling some stuff, like rehashing, redoing the plot, whatever. So to have this moment that's like a freaking horror movie, I was like, oh, so refreshing, and it feeds into the kid in me who loves horror genre. So that was pretty awesome. I love it. I love it. Um, so last but not least, um, I know there's a lot of grounds to cover today, a lot of grounds to cover. But last but not least, Daryl versus Alpha. This, speaking about rehashing or recycling, this reminds me of. Do you remember, guys, that one season, that one episode when Rick Grimes was battling Negan? Just mano a mano, just the two of them. Rick Grimes versus Negan inside an abandoned house. I think at one point Negan kind of falls off 2 stories. I think I gotta rewatch the episode again, but I'm sure you've. I no. I think if I'm not mistaken, my memory is kind of shoddy these days. One of the characters, either Rick or Negan, is hanging on the ledge, um, and then he falls. But anyway, what I'm getting at is that's what this Daryl versus Alpha reminds me of. Um, it reminds me of Rick versus Negan, basically. They and watching this, even though it's like pulse pounding and you're scared for Daryl, it's like, oh my god, he's hurt, he's vulnerable, but he's gonna survive. Number one, Daryl is a survivor. Like I mentioned last week, one of my favorite episodes of all time was the one when Daryl Daryl got cornered. Yeah, he got cornered in an abandoned hospital, and he had to maneuver the gurneys. The gurneys where they hold patients lie down on. He had to maneuver the gurneys around the walkers that were like closing in on him. So that's the kind of person Daryl is. Daryl finds a way. Daryl survives. Daryl's like, Daryl. He's hard to kill. All right. So even though we fear for his safety, especially in this episode when blood like just gushing all over his face, he can't see straight because all the blood just covering his face. And also, I want to just say real quick, if I was in a zombie apocalypse, I probably would shave my head. I would keep my head shaven like this, like really short, or maybe even like total bald, like Father Gabe. I I know having long hair makes you look cooler and sexier. Daryl is sexy and cool. But as you can see from this episode, with that blood, just and the sweat and the just like, oh, and the hair covering your face. Of course you can't see, but if you keep your hair short or shaven, you just go like this, wipe it off, and voila, you're good to go. um but yeah, back to my point. It was a test of survival for both Daryl and Alpha in this episode. And it's also a bit of a tease for those of you who may want to see, like, who may wonder, like, oh my god, is this it? Is this it? Is one of them gonna die? Is one of them gonna kill the other? No, 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 no. Just like that Rick Grimes versus Negan, the Walking Dead writers always like to tease you guys with like a preview. But if you ask me, though, I would rather see Carol versus Alpha, as opposed to Daryl versus Alpha. I think Carol versus Alpha would be a much, much more impactful fight, given the fact that Alpha killed Carol's son. Um, I know Daryl's right now in grieving because those two other characters died last week in the rubbles. That's why he's like chasing after Alpha. But I think the fury is slightly a bit more on Carol's side, because the loss is greater, in my opinion, at least. It's her son, damn it. And I'll end with this. Lydia coming back, cool. I don't hate Lydia. I don't particularly love her either. She's not one of my favorite new characters. Um, I find Mary slightly more interesting than Lydia. But hey, it's all cool. Lydia's coming back. Lydia's gonna help Daryl. Um, I don't know how she will play into this now. That I hope, because I know she has a complicated relationship with her mom, aka Alpha. But I hope she ultimately chooses a side, and that's Daryl's side. You know what I'm saying? Right now, she's like, you know what? I'm just gonna be on me's side, which is there's nothing wrong with that. Take the time you need, all the time in the world. But hopefully, she chooses his side ultimately. Um, oh, I almost forgot one last comment. I feel kind of bad or sad, I should say. For I feel sad for the extras, the actors of The Walking Dead who are, I mean, I'm sure they're like, when they get the gig, they're like, oh my God, as an actor, you're like so stoked, like, oh my God, I get to show up on an episode of The Walking Dead. My family's gonna see me. But those actors are just there so that Beta can kill them all in a house, and then turn them into zombies. There's so many instances like that where you'll have these characters of Alexandria that are like, really, where did they come from? You never know their backstory, but they just show up in one episode just so they can get killed off. So I feel sad, or I feel bad for them, but you know what? Maybe they don't feel bad about it. Maybe they just think of it like, hey, it's an honor to show up even for one episode of The Walking Dead, even if I get killed off. it's still it's still a gig. So hey, hats off to you, man. Hats off to you, actors. So yeah, wonderful, awesome, awesome episode. Chilling, intense. I was like, holding my breath the entire time, especially when Beta was inside the house walking up the stairs, like, oh my God. And I was like, oh, he's gonna kill Rosita. No. So many close calls in this episode. Such a great episode. I probably one of my favorites now, ever in the history of The Walking Dead. Yeah. So that's it. Those are my thoughts. Those are the notes that I have. And I'm thankful that AMC dropped this episode early, because tomorrow night, Sunday night, I already have an appointment. But now, thanks to this, I did not miss out on anything at all. So thank you, AMC, and thank you all for tuning in. If you have seen this episode, or by the time you've watched it tomorrow night, um, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What did you think about it? Do you agree or disagree with my assessment on this review? Share what you think in the comment section below. And as always, subscribe to my channel, press that like button, and ring that bell. And if you can help support me, please do so at patreon.com/ramascreen. Let's rock this.